Okay, so now what I'm going to do is render that, because even though you're sort of adding lights and getting a good indication in the preview, you won't know exactly what it's looking like until you render it. So in the camera view, I just click the preview render. Might take a few seconds. Again, it should be in the raw state, because when you render out, that's what by default it does it. So the raw state here is essentially what you're getting at any point in time. So you look at that and say, okay, whatever. One thing that you might want to do now is perhaps cast shadows or create shadows. So we'll look at that at the moment. So that's what you've got at the moment. So I'll close that. So now to start thinking about shadows, let's go back up here. So you need to be clear that some lights will not cast shadows, some will cast shadows. Because if you've got a lot of lights in your scene, you might not want every single light to cast a shadow because you might be too many shadows or whatever. So generally speaking, these directional lights, they're like fill lights, so you don't want them to cast shadows, they create ambience. So we want those lights not to cast shadows. So to enable shadows globally, we need to go back to the render settings in the Maya software tab, and under the ray tracing quality drop-down menu, what you do is you click on ray tracing because that enables shadows, also reflections, refractions, etc. Okay, so that's like a global switch for shadows. Okay, so now, once you've done that, you add shadows for each light. The directional lights, if you go to the lights parameters, you can see the drop-down menu here, shadows. So if you click down on that, scroll down and see ray trace shadow attributes, you can see here how use ray trace shadows is checked because we checked it globally just before. Now we don't want those lights to cast shadows, so I'll uncheck it for that one and also for the other directional light. But if I select the spotlight, you can see that it has shadows enabled and we want to keep them because we want that light to cast a shadow. So we'll adjust it to sort of work out where it sort of needs to be. Again, you won't know exactly what it looks like until you sort of view it in camera. Render this. Hopefully we should get some shadows coming up. There we go. So you can see the shadow from the pole outside and from some of the objects in the shop itself. So at least you're getting shadows. So now I'll close that. So now what I'll do is I'll add another light type and we'll work out what that sort of light type does. So I'm going to create a point light. Now the way a point light works, emits light equally in all directions. Okay, so if I rotated this, it makes no difference because it sends out light rays, the same light rays in each direction. But when I move it, you can see it has an effect on the environment depending on what intensity it is and how sort of, the proximity to objects. So point lights are really good if you're doing, say, a light globe, a single light globe at the top of the room, or if you want to illuminate just part of an environment, like a little corner or next or close to a shape or something. So I'll do it with, say, this cone shape. So what I'll do is I'll make it really intense, so increase the intensity, but you want to sort of limit the area that it influences. You don't want it to affect the whole area. So if that's the case, what you do, so even though it's quite intense, you want to maybe go to the decay rate. By default, there's no decay, so that light sort of goes on forever. But then if you go to, say, linear decay, it actually reduces the area around which that light, the area that is affected by that light. Even though it's still quite intense, it's only going to be sort of intense very close to the particular object. Okay, so it's a sort of a seesaw in between intensity and decay rate. Again, depends what you're after, and in a second, we'll see what it looks like, if anything. Now, maybe I'll just have it no decay and have it quite low. And just to get an idea, I might actually have a color for that so we can see how much it's influencing. Maybe a green. Okay, is that sort of doing anything? There we go. So you can see it's sort of falling off. Closer to the object, it's more green. Further away, it's less green. But again, it depends on the decay rate and the intensity, sort of the ratio between the two. But again, even though it shows us something in the view, we won't really know what it looks like until we render. So again, the rendering or the test rendering process is quite vital as you go, because the process is you're making small adjustments, going back, seeing what the result is of test render, making a decision about, okay, this needs to be lighter or dark or whatever, and then basically sort of toing and froing between making adjustments and test renders, ideally until what you're starting to get looks pretty sort of okay. So what I'll do now is start incorporating materials, because when you start adding, so you might have sort of added lights and it looks sort of fairly good, but then when you start incorporating or adding materials and textures, you might find you have to go back and keep tweaking or adjusting the settings for the lights, or for that matter, the materials or textures. Okay, so it's coordinating all those aspects, lights, materials, textures, and playing around within each until what you're getting, the combination or the net result, you start getting, control of what you want. So for that cone, what I'm going to do is assign a new material, just to see when we start adding materials what effect that has or impact that has with lights and the overall scene. So I'll go assign a material. This time I'll make it a blend, because it's got a specular or a shiny bit and it's reflective. So what I'll do is maybe adjust the color and maybe put a blue. Okay, now if you look at, because the material's got a shiny bit called specular highlight, you can see specular color. By default, the shine or the specular highlight is light gray or sort of white. You can actually change it. If you want, for instance, to have the color of the material, say blue in this case, but you want the shine part of it to be a different color, again, you can click on the color swatch, choose maybe, there we go, yellow. Actually not yellow, maybe light blue. So you can see that the shine is a little bit lighter blue than the material, because that's because you can independently adjust the shine of the color of the shine separately from the color of the material itself. Okay, the other thing you can do now is maybe readjust the light. So go back to the light. Now you probably don't want it green, or you might, but maybe just to match the color of the object, I'll change that back to blue. Okay, so you can sort of coordinate or relate how the lights relate to the material and vice versa. Okay, so again, proof is in the pudding, so go back to your frame camera, you render, and you sort of have a look at what you've got. So you can see by default the blend material is reflective, which might be good, but you might think, well, that's probably a bit too much reflection, or maybe not enough. Again, hard to tell. So I can see that maybe in the inside of the shop you might want it a bit brighter. So again, I might go back and make no decay for that, but because you don't want it to be too much, you want to sort of tone it down. Again, go back to the camera view. I can see now it's a little bit bluer, so you want to render it. Now, one good thing you can do with the render view, if you want to compare a before and after, what you can do, just move this out of the way, you can keep the image, the current image. So if I click on this little icon, it keeps the image. So now I can render the next one and toggle between the two. So for this adjustment, what I'll do is maybe increase the intensity a little bit more for that light. And yeah, we'll just do that for now. And just to render it and see how it compares with what we did a few seconds ago. Okay, so that's probably a bit too blue, but just to sort of compare, there's the before, there's the after. So keeping the image sort of function here is useful, because you might want to sort of compare two different renders just to sort of work out which one you prefer.